First and foremost, this is a PSA. I'm not giving anyone medical advice. I'm encouraging people to consult their medical professionals if and when necessary. So first, for the people who might be on medications, if you've been taking SSRIs or any kind of antidepressant, anti-anxiety medication, even stimulants like Ritalin and such, if you have been on medication a long time and never quite found your perfect combination, I learned about something that I spoke about on my Patreon already. So if you're a Patreon member, I'll try to remember to put a timestamp of where to skip to. But for everyone else, there's a company called Genesight. I think it's just Genesight, one word. And they do testing where they take a swab in your cheek, send it off to the lab, and then they'll come back and tell you which drugs your genes might have mutations for. So what that ends up resulting in is a huge list of drugs that work well for you, moderately have an interaction, or you shouldn't take them. So, surprise, surprise, the one drug that I was in like the red do not take this section for was Paxil, which is the medication I was on some months ago that made me gain all that weight, and it was absolutely hell getting off of it. So I'm already on board, but just so you know, that was a test that was given to me by my new psychiatrist, medication management person, and I had never heard of it before. If you have insurance and make below a certain amount in your combined household, they will help pay for it. But if you don't qualify, which I didn't, I think it was $330. But honestly, so worth it, and something that I wish I had done a long time ago. I just didn't know it existed. And so that makes me wonder how many people out there could really benefit from this information, but don't know that it is a service that's offered. So now my new medication person and I were able to really come up with a game plan for, I had been on sertraline, which is also called Zoloft, and that was one that my body doesn't do well with. So I've tapered off of that, and I've just finally gotten to the point where I'm not having brain zaps and like crazy mood swings and stuff from getting off of that. And I'm staying on the Wellbutrin that I've been on. This is probably the third or fourth time I've been on it in my life. But here comes the part for my fellow ASD persons, and this will segue into quite quickly into those who have hair, nail, other issues that have led you to listen. So another thing that I found out through this test is that my body doesn't produce a certain enzyme properly. And while the test was just looking at that in conjunction with medications, turns out that that enzyme is actually really important to do with everything related to your B vitamins. So I've known for years that I have a vitamin B12 deficiency. I had some blood work done, and my then primary care physician said, here's the results, and you have like 0 B12. So since I eat a relatively good diet and didn't really have any other reason to be that deficient, that was obvious, I started taking B12 capsules. Well, that didn't help. My body wasn't absorbing it. So then I started taking B12 shots. And for some reason, as I've gotten older, I've developed this strong fear of needles. I think I had a couple IVs that were like really painful, and now I'm just a wimp when it comes to needles. So having to have those self-injected at home, not for me, okay? I'm like, my knees are just like shaking. I had to basically end up laying down to get the shot because I would be so close to passing out. So I told my doctor, and he was like, okay, well, we can also try this sublingual B12. So that goes under your tongue, and it's just like a liquid, and you can get it over the counter. So I've been doing that now for, I can't even tell you how long. And my doctor had told me, like, yeah, you should be feeling a lot better once you get these B12 shots. But I didn't really notice a difference. And so there's always a million things that you can blame, like lethargy and fatigue on. And I've had an issue with this since puberty, like as long as I can remember. Well, it turns out that this enzyme of mine that is not up to snuff controls all of that. And this enzyme happens to be deficient or defective or mutated, whatever you want to call it, in 98% of people with autism. So I'm going to look at my phone just to pronounce this. Methylene tetrahydrofolate reductase. So they shorten it to MTHFR. So I call it the motherfucker enzyme. And one of the key roles is to take folate and methylate and turn it into methylfolate. And if this is not working well for you, let me find these side effects. Decreased function of this gene has been linked to various medical conditions such as neurological and cardiovascular disorders, along with diabetes and mental dysfunctions. Recently, a link has been discovered between this gene mutation and autism. 98% of children affected by autism have a mutation of this gene, which hinders the body's ability to transform folate into methylfolate. Having low levels of these antioxidants can make us less tolerant to stress and toxins, ultimately affecting the immune system. So the folate to methylfolate thing, I guess, helps also create glutathione. I don't know how to pronounce that, but that will stop your body from working with the B vitamins in general. So again, I'm not giving medical advice. This is just what my new medication lady started me taking as a supplement. And the reason why is because her only goal was, we need the Wellbutrin to be as effective as possible in you, and right now your body can't metabolize it properly, so it's not working to its full capacity. So this is the drug methylfolate, and well, I don't know, is a supplement a drug? I don't know if they're different classes technically, but I got the lower milligram amount. I think there was one that was close to double, or maybe a little more than double in the milligrams than this one. And that's because I purchased this before I knew how big of an issue this was for me through this other lens of reality. But you can take these up to twice a day, and you're supposed to take them with meals. So there's another acetylglutathione. Again, I don't know how to say that, and if you do know and I'm butchering it, just pretend I have an accent or something. That's another supplement that I guess you can get that helps with your body's antioxidant capacity. I am so annoyed that this is becoming knowledge to me at, how old am I now, like 34? Because when your B vitamins are not doing their thing, not only does it affect your energy levels, making you chronically fatigued, which I am, it can also impact your nails. So I have very brittle nails, and for a long time I didn't totally understand what that meant. I thought I don't know what I thought. I just had an idea of what a brittle nail looked like, and it was probably cartoonish almost. But my nails, whenever they grow, they don't have like the right shape. They almost look like they're trying to be a dome, like they're supposed to be, but in certain areas that dome will just like collapse. So I'll have dents in my nails, and they can never grow past a certain point. Same with like my toenails. I have some toenails that aren't, I don't want to make myself sound like super, I feel like you can't talk about toes and not sound gross, but my toenails just aren't like sturdy seeming. I initially thought when I recognized this that I had gotten too many pedicures and hadn't let my nails just like be on their own long enough. So I stopped getting pedicures. This was years ago, and it didn't help. I have a couple toenails that just never grow like a full hard surface, and that has bothered me, of course. Nobody wants to have nails that are like messed up. And then I'm gonna edit out me looking this up, but I'll come back when I find the right article. Okay, I'm back. So look, symptoms of a methylfolate deficiency include anemia, which I was diagnosed with in high school, gastrointestinal issues, which, listen, if you too are on the autism spectrum, you know how we be. There are stomach problems constantly. It's an everyday thing. It's awful. But the symptoms of these gastrointestinal issues can include nausea, vomiting, abdominal pain, diarrhea, and sometimes weight loss. Neurological issues, which can include tingling, burning, numbness, or neuropathy in your extremities, which I often have. Psychological issues, which can include depression, confusion, memory problems, and problems with judgment and understanding. Other symptoms can include a sore tongue, irritability, and behavioral disorders. So basically my whole life. And if you look up the symptoms of not having these antioxidants and B vitamins processing correctly in your body, that will get a lot more into like the hair and nails and all the stuff that, if you are not on the spectrum, could still link you into this problem potentially. Ain't that some shit? I hope there's at least one other person out there who is watching this and can eventually, if not this very moment, commiserate with me, because I think it is really unfortunate that any of us can go this long in life without figuring something like this out. It just seems like, man, how has this never been clear before? Like, I guess I kind of get it, but I can't tell you how many doctors I've been to complaining about this exact list of issues, and it's always blamed on, are you eating right? Are you sleeping well? Which I sleep too much. Are you depressed? Just, are you exercising? I mean, even when all of my factors I can control are on point, it's like no doctor has ever really believed me. So they just think, well, this person has Asperger's and on top of that is on antidepressants and has a long history of chronic depression and other issues, so it's probably that. And it really makes me feel like part of my life has kind of been stolen away because I've been complaining about this, about low energy and just all these issues for so long that I finally stopped complaining about them. And then once I found out that I was B12 deficient, which I feel like should have shown up in earlier blood work that I've done in my life, but whatever. Once I found that out, I had this sense of like, oh, well, maybe now I will have a normal person's amount of energy. And when that didn't happen, it was just sad again. Like, thought I finally had it, because I'm sure there are people out there, and I'm sure I've been one of these people in certain situations where you kind of convince yourself something's wrong, and then it seems like, I don't know, the reason why I say this is because I was about to say, you know when something's wrong with you, like when your body doesn't feel like it should, or when you hear people describe how they feel and you recognize you never feel that way. Or for me, over the last however many years, it's just been seeing people do stuff. Like, I'm always just like, how do you survive? I don't understand how you can do so many things, potentially on little sleep for some of them, like, and by that I mean they can sleep 6 hours a night and feel refreshed in the morning, and if I don't get 8 hours of sleep, my body has physical side effects to that. And I'm not just talking like acne and whatever, I mean like every step I take that next day, my head is just, I can't explain it, but it is close to a brain zap. It's like a shock wave comes up my body and ends in my head. So I need to get good sleep just to be able to walk around. And nobody else describes that as being their normal state when they're being healthy, exercising, eating well, etc. No one I know is like, yeah, it's an earthquake in my head when I walk if I don't get 8 hours of sleep minimum. So if you have half a brain, usually the context clues will lead you to the thought that something is amiss here. And I've known something's amiss for a long time. So I don't want to dangerously just say, like, you know if you know, because I also know that we can get carried away sometimes and start thinking like we have cancer when we don't, or whatever. But I guess I would just encourage you that if you too are someone who has had issues with your energy levels and or any of the other things that I've mentioned, it may not be specifically this that's your problem, unless you have ASD, in which case get this particularly checked, because apparently it's a rampant problem among us. But if you're just a reggo and living your life and you just feel like something's a little off, I would highly recommend just getting not normal blood work done. Like, if you have to, go to someone who's more holistic, or a nutritionist, dietitian, whoever is actually registered where you live, because those two things are not interchangeable everywhere. But someone who has a meaningful doctorate of some sort, an endocrinologist, your primary care physician, if you really feel like they'll listen to you and take you seriously, go get your blood work done. Or even now, I think online, if you really don't know where to start, I think they have these tests you can do. I don't know how expensive they are because I've never tried them, but I think you can send in either hair or a swab or something, and they'll just send you back the results. So that would at least be a good indicator that, hey, you have very low this, that, or the other thing, or maybe too much of something. And then from there you can Google, you know, who do I talk to about having low vitamin B12, whatever. And that's a lie. I'm not really hopeful, because I feel like every time I'm hopeful about this stuff, nothing happens. But I am hoping that this will make a significant difference in my life. And I'm also really pissed that I've eaten so many blueberries, just thinking that I'm getting antioxed, and I'm not, because my body doesn't even have the ability to antiox me. I'm so sad about that. I could have so many free radicals right now. I could just be a free radical, just hanging out, living life, growing stuff. And I really hope that's not the case, but you just never know, I guess. And so anyway, this just felt really important to share. I know that sharing it on an ASMR platform is kind of weird, because it's not a random chat, and it's not particular, you know, it's not a role play, whatever, but like, this is the largest place that I can reach the most amount of people. And I know that some people who follow me have found me due to my autism discussions particularly. So I just wanted to get this out to as many people as I can. And I know that some of you actually have kids on the spectrum, or siblings on the spectrum, etc. So hopefully you can be a mouthpiece for me to get this memo out to the people you love, and just have them look into this, because it could be a huge difference maker in their life. And I also just wanted to mention that I'm hopefully almost done editing a video about my garden, which I'm gonna put on my, I don't want to call it my second channel, or my other channel, because like, I think I've uploaded 2 or 3 times in years on there. But I do have another channel that's called Be Well, and I'll link that in a community post or whatever whenever I actually put it up. But I know some of you have been asking about my gardening, so that will be on its way hopefully shortly. And okay, so I hope this helps at least one person, and I will see you guys hopefully soon in my next video.